大家好，欢迎来到今年的 DC 粉丝嘉年华，这里有关于 DC 的一切。我是古大白话，是今天的主持人。今天我们有一个专门为中国 DC 粉丝独家定制的环节，一场与 DC 电影制作人和明星的独家跨时空对话。我们也非常开心啊，有幸邀请到了一位中国本土电影人，即将与大家最期待的 DC 电影人和明星一起畅聊 DC 电影的台前幕后，并带来最新的 DC 电影作品的独家消息，你一定不要错过哦。今天我们的特别节目是关于雷霆沙赞众神之怒，目前来自 DC 的主创和主演已经在线了，首先欢迎他们与我们连线。Now this special session is for Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Let's first welcome the director of the film, David Sandberg.
Hello. Hi.
Producer of the film, Peter Safran. And Shazam himself, Zachary Levi. Welcome, guys.
Hi, thank you. So nice to see you guys.
Hi. Welcome to our session. 那接下来我们非常有幸也请到了我们中国本土的电影人，中国导演李小雨啊，欢迎李导来到我们的现场。
Hi， 你好，你好。
哎，你好，你好。So we have our local director, Rain Lee here. Rain started her filmmaking career at the age of 19 and was elected one of the 10 best cinematographers of the year by Variety. She's a unique filmmaker with a strong creative vision combining both Western and Eastern cultures. She's also a huge DC fan. Welcome. So first I'd like to say welcome, Rain, to our session, and thank you all for your time today. I know Director Rain Lee has some questions for Team Shazam, and she'd like to be discussing with you all. So without further ado, I'll leave the time to you guys. And thank you, Rain, David, Peter, and Zach. Let's get started.
Awesome.
Thank you. Okay, hi, David. Hi, Zach. Hi, Peter. Nice to meet you guys.
Hi, so nice. I like your hat.
Thank you. I watched the movie twice. I did a power watch again last night just so I haven't missed anything. And it was so much fun, you know? My first question goes to Zach. So how did you prepare for the role? It's like, you know, like a kid trapped in an adult body. How did you prepare it?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is I didn't have to do much preparation. I've always just been a stunted, like my growth has always just been stunted. I'm a big kid inside, and I've always really, I don't know, had a lot of just energy in life and a lot of lust for life, and I enjoy life. And as David can attest, you know, I have lots and lots of energy, and sometimes probably too much. But I just, I don't know. I've just always tried to maintain something inside of me that holds on to that kid, you know, in all of us, whether it's being creative or thinking outside the box or just really enjoying fun things, whether swimming or bungee jumping or, you know, whatever it is. I tend to have that kind of in me. I think that's what ultimately probably, was able to be seen by David and by Peter as they were trying to find their Shazam. I think that's ultimately, you know, like you're saying, it's kind of the crux of the character. What grown person can we find that didn't grow up? And they ultimately found me. So, but then beyond that, you know, obviously you do have to ask yourself, okay, well, there is the kid and the adult, but how old is that kid? And what is that kid's backstory? And, you know, with Billy Batson, he's a foster child who was abandoned by his parents. And, you know, he's not just any kid, he's a specific kid. And I think in the first was 15 years old or something like that. So, you know, trying to be very specific about, well, what is it to play a 15-year-old foster kid? And then now this one, he's a few years older, he's 17, and there's a big difference in that, you know. In fact, you know, in those years, they're very formative growth years. A 15-year-old kid is much different than a 17-year-old kid in some respects. So I just tried to evolve that as best I could, you know, as I stepped into this. But
amazing, because I can just tell how organic it is. So besides the physical training, any like mental preparations you have to do for the role? I mean,
I think that it was, you know, it's just, I think with any role, you first have to ask yourself, what is this character's capacity for empathy, and what is their capacity for intelligence? And if you can figure out those two things, how smart are they, and how much do they care about other people, then you can start to fill out all of the other bits and bobs, and you can find yourself better in their psychology of how they operate in the world. Again, because I'm kind of a kid at heart, it's an easier step for me to play a child than it is to play a serial killer or something like that. That's a harder thing for me to go figure out. What is it like to be in their head, right? It's much easier for me to figure out what it's like to be in a kid's head. But it still requires that thought. It still requires you just doing that mental exercise and asking yourself, okay, well, if I was 15 and I didn't have any parents and I was bouncing around on the streets and in and out of foster homes, what would that feel like? What would the kid in me feel like, and all that? So that was the work that I did. And then, we had conversations about how the script, and the tone, because that's all important too. How the flow and energy of the script go, and how you're servicing different parts of that script and the story, and how the relationships between the characters play, because that also indicates to you who your character might be. Little bits and pieces, you're just filling out all the details. So that was pretty much, and then obviously, diving into some of the comic books. DC was very kind to send me a whole bunch of, old school Captain Marvel and then Shazam comic books, and that gave me a whole different and cooler understanding of the character that I was bringing to life, and how old the character was. 1939, I think it goes all the way back, and how many different iterations the character has had over the years, and that we tried to work into each movie. I mean, there's the kind of innocence of the Captain Marvel character in the 30s and 40s and 50s that obviously doesn't play anymore now, but you can throw little Easter eggs in and kind of bringing that to life. So that was pretty much the preparation I had for the first and for the second movie.
Oh, thank you. I can still see that energy inside of you when you talk about it. Yeah. Okay, my second question goes to David. Congratulations. It's a great success in the world. So I heard you guys are making the second one. Do you feel any pressure?
Well, no, to be honest, the script was so good by Henry Gayden that it's felt like this is going to be a great movie. So I haven't really thought about it much in that way. And I mean, this is a bigger movie now, so we have more resources, and there's now you have the whole family. We have even bigger, badder bad guys and bigger stakes. So it feels like it's gonna be good. I mean, even if I'm directing it, you can't fail with this kind of material, these kinds of actors. So it's like, I haven't worried too much about it, to be honest.
I love it. Obviously, you guys putting so much hard work and effort. And how do you make a film that does not take itself too seriously?
I think the key is that it is from the perspective of children, of kids who have that sort of enthusiasm, and it's a very different viewpoint in the superhero world, because you get to experience the joy of these kids, of experiencing their powers and what they would do with it. So it all comes from the characters, really, that are so great, and we, even though they're fun characters, we also put them in quite serious situations, which both adds to the comedy sometimes, but also adds to the drama of it, the stakes of it.
Basically, the key of the success is be a kid at heart. So my another question for Peter. So I heard there are new characters in the new Shazam. And is it true Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren going to be playing parts?
Yes, we did. We brought in some new big guns. These movies, they say that these movies, they're only as good as their villain. And, we think in this case, we brought in two of the most badass villains, I suppose villains, we'll see. But we brought in some great adversaries for Shazam and the Shazam family. And for us, it was really important to find actors that had a real gravitas to them and a real badassness. And both of these ladies bring both of those qualities in, huge supply. And it was wonderful because when we were casting the movie, each of them were the first people we went to for each of the roles. And thankfully, they both had seen the first Shazam. They loved it. They were Zach Levi fans, fortunately. And they both said yes. They read the script. They saw that, that Henry Gayden, our writer, had really crafted great adversaries, great characters that had a complexity to them and a nuance to them that made actors of the quality of Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu want to jump on board and come play with us.
Wow, I can totally see they're like two baddies. You approach them and they say yes.
It was surprisingly easy. As David has referenced, we really did have a great script. We had a first movie that people loved.
Yeah.
Critics and audiences loved it. Rarely is an actor as well suited to a role as Zach is to Shazam. So, they were fans. And when we sent them the script, they both had that same reaction. They wanted to chat with David, hear his vision for the movie, but they both were inclined to do it. And as I said, we never went to any other actor for either of the roles. And it was really a testament to the quality of the first film and the script we were working with.
Another question for Zach. So can you tell us a little bit more about the Shazam in the second movie? What's the growth of Shazam this time?
So in the first movie, as I had said before, he was 15, and in this one he's 17. And 2 years in those years makes a good bit of difference, I think, but also not just 2 years of getting older, a regular 15-year-old to a 17-year-old, a regular 17-year-old, but we're dealing with super 15-year-olds and super 17-year-olds. And, Billy, my name, my character's name, my younger version's name, he really takes this leadership seriously. He is essentially the leader of our now super family, and he wants us to all work as a team, and he really believes that we all should stick together and we all do everything together, and he wants us to, he wants everyone to succeed in this and be, really cool superheroes. And so he is now in these few years of them stumbling through, I'm sure, many a caper and mission and trying to thwart bad guys and, regular little criminals and stuff like that. There's been a lot of learning in that process, a lot. So there's a bit of a learning curve when you're trying to be a superhero, particularly if you're a team of superheroes. And so, you kind of sense that in the beginning of the movie. You realize, oh, this is 2 years on, and they're going through the growing pains of what it means to be a team, to be super, and to be a super team. And the leadership that Billy feels very responsible for to the family and to the team. So I think that's kind of the main point of growth. He's gone from being this kind of more of the new kid to the family that still feels a bit disconnected until the end, where he's finally embracing that this is indeed his family, and he's happy to be there, his new family anyway. It's moving from that into very much having embraced that. In fact, maybe over embracing it. Now it's like it's everything to him. And so there's a very different take for Billy's heart and mind in this, but still a lot of the same, I'd say, personality that he has and how his mind works. And really, what I try to do is also look at quite literally, 17-year-olds right now. Like, how do they act? How do they talk? How do they treat each other? What's cool to them? What's not cool to them? Like all of those things. And so you apply that, which is different than 2 years ago. Like the floss dance I did in the first one, that's so uncool now. Nobody does the floss dance. Yeah, I mean, it's right. So you got to update with all of those kind of modern trends, and then also apply this new leadership and this new responsibility and this new closeness and bond that he has with his family. All of those things kind of make for this newer version of Billy Shazam in the new movie.
I would love to ask more questions, but I felt like the more and more ask, I'm gonna see all the plots. So I'm probably gonna wait until the cinema. David, this movie, like, I'm so admire you. There's so much elements in this movie. There's a big action, and it's like, how can you keep all this, like the humor always so funny, and then there's a very intense as well, and there's a leadership, there's a responsibility, there's a lot of messages. Did you find it hard to have all this element together, and then how did you do it?
Well, the key is to work with very talented people who really know their stuff, you know, like everything from the stunts and effects and things like that to our actors who are so great. I mean, Zach, for example, there are many instances where there isn't anything written in the script, but I'll tell him like, oh, I want something here. Can you come up with something? And he'll come up with it on the spot, you know, and he'll give me several different versions and they're all great. So it's the key is to work with people who are really good at what they do. And, you know, especially with our actors, we really hit the jackpot because they are so perfect for their characters.
And by the way, I would just add, you know, kind of what Peter and David was saying earlier. It all starts on the page. You know this. I mean, if you don't have a good script, it's very difficult to make a good movie. It's not impossible. Sometimes miracles happen and people are like, you know, fixing things along the way and you cobble it together and it's this really interesting Frankenstein of a situation, but it still works. In our case, Henry Gayden is so talented. The first script was fantastic. The second script, I think it was even better than the first script, really. And he really understands so much about the comedic tones that marry with the action tones. I think, you know, I think I've talked to you about this, but Henry and David and I were all roughly the same age. We all grew up with a lot of the same adventure movies like Goonies and Indiana Jones and Superman and all that stuff. So, you know, I think that there's a little bit of unspoken words that we understand when Henry writes this moment. Oh, that's that moment. We understand what that moment is, you know, so it makes it easier to then be able to riff and do things because you already have a great blueprint, you know, to then go and make up moments as a character.
Yeah, and he doesn't just like hand off a script and go bye.
Yeah,
like,
no, he's there a lot.
Yeah, he's on set, and if he's not here, you know, he'll email like, hey, I know you're shooting this scene. Here's some other lines you could do, or like here's, you know, whenever we need something from him, he's always there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell there's a part. I don't know, like how. Whether you improvise or not, but I can just tell because when you have so many kids in one room and an adult, and the chemistry between Shazam and other children and the other kids in the school is very natural. So I felt like maybe you guys kind of improvised it. It was like, you know, it wasn't just like you say this, you say that, you know. The kids are very amazing.
I mean, the chemistry is certainly real. I mean, everyone gets along so well and hang out after shooting and all the time. But I mean, it's all based on the script. And yeah, we do improvise some things, but
yeah, most of it's in the script. I mean, like I said, I mean, Henry did such a great job writing it that then really, you know, we'll riff and improvise if we're doing multiple takes or if there's something in the vein, you know, like we all as the actors have, and even David as a director, we all have such great, again, blueprint, a great design to play around in. It's already really solid in there. So, and makes it very safe and very fun to improvise when you do improvise. But
Yeah, amazing. Another question for Peter. So the kids growing older now, are they playing their age, or is it going to be the same children in a character in the new Shazam?
Yeah, the kids are older, and we incorporated that into the storyline. So Billy, Freddie, Mary, they're all getting older, and they're also, you know, we in the storyline they're starting to age out of the foster care system. So there is a kind of theme running through it about what happens when you age out of the system. You know, do you age out of your home? Do you age out of your family? Or is there a way to keep everybody together, even though you're no longer a foster child? So we just leaned right into it. And, you know, those emotional elements really became quite pronounced because we were dealing with kids that were coming to the end of their time with their foster family. So they're basically playing their age. You know, Billy is 17, you know, Mary's, you know, 18, you know, Freddie's about 17 as well. So they're, you know, the kids are growing up. That's why we had to make this movie soon. Otherwise, we were really going to be in trouble. But the kids are great. And we, you know, Henry and really wrote it in a way that it makes sense that, you know, we've waited a couple of years to make the film, and you know, now it works for everybody at their real age.
Was it a plan, like before you made the first one?
You know, I think when you make a DC movie, obviously you hope that you're creating a franchise. These are properties that have been around for 50, 60, 70 years. There are tons of great storylines to draw from. So I think when you make one, you hope that the audience is going to embrace the character and the storyline that you create such that you can make more of them. And, we all loved the process of making the first movie. We loved making the first movie, and then we loved what it became. We loved the finished product.
Yeah.
So, there was never a time, I think, after the very first screening of that movie where we weren't going to go make another one. But we knew that we didn't want to make another one unless it could be as good as or better than the first one. We didn't want to make it unless we really thought we had a great story to tell. And, when we ultimately came up with this storyline with the Daughters of Atlas, the great adversaries, with the storylines with the kids aging out, with Billy wanting to have his arms around the whole family so that now that he's finally found a family, he doesn't lose them. All of those storylines really came together in a beautiful fashion. And, we couldn't wait to get back on set. I think we were all quietly over the last 3 years waiting for the moment where we could go back and resurrect that fun family atmosphere that's created on a Shazam set.
Wonderful. I think the whole world has been waiting for 2
hope
years
so. We hope
together. So to Zach, actually, I have a question here for the audience of the world in China. What other, apart from is the new Shazam being 17 and he has more responsibilities, what other exciting things you can share with us now?
Well, I mean, again, we don't want to spoil anything, right? So I would say, well, the suit is new. The suit is new. We love the old suits. We love the new suits. They are so cool. We got a cool, like again, everything is a little more mature, right? In the first movie, it was a younger vibe and a younger feel, and we were younger kids. And so the way we would manifest our magical suits was a little more kind of, I don't want to say cartoony, but a little younger in that vibe. And now with this next one, we're all a little older. So the suits feel a little mature. They're a little cooler. They have like different, moodier color schemes and cooler metals and things on them, and but those, I think if you look online, you can find a lot of that. I think that, one of the coolest new things about this movie is that we really get to play with the fun and the dynamic of a super family. In the first one, it was one super kid and the rest were regular kids until the end, spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen it, and then the rest of the kids get some powers. But we only got to play together, us super adults. We only got to play together for really not that long up in Toronto when we shot the first one. And this one gives everybody lots more dialogue and scenes and moments to shine. And so I think that's a really fun difference between the first one and the second one. Our lair, I'm not going to give anything away, but our lair is so cool. Our superhero lair. I don't know. I mean, as you mentioned, Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren are obviously very new additions to the Shazam universe and franchise, and oh my gosh, they're so good. As is Rachel Zegler. Really, those are kind of our three newer, people that have come in and played prominent roles in this film, and they're just also talented. We're so grateful that we got all of them. But to, I will just say selfishly, to have at least a couple of scenes where it's just me and Helen Mirren having a scene as actors. I mean, that's like bucket list, dream come true. I'm ready to die. Like, it was so cool. So it's new for me. It'll be new for everybody else. But and what that leads into, and all the new action, all of that, like David was saying, we have a bit more budget on this one, so we can do some kind of bigger, cooler things, and that's all really fun.
Zach, Helen also told me it was on her bucket list, so it was a very mutual. She told me that. She did. She said, I finally checked it off.
I'm not on Helen Mirren's bucket list, but I appreciate that, Peter. I do.
Oh, it sounds like you guys have so much fun. It really looks like you guys are like a big, happy family, and I'm so happy for you guys. So what's the most treasured memories, or any a question to all of you? Is there any memories and treasured memories you can share with us and to the audience? I'm sure lots of them.
Yeah, I mean, from this movie, it would be hard to not spoil things.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, it's just the fact that we have the whole Shazam family in this one has been so cool. Because yeah, we got a glimpse of it at the end of the first movie, but it's been really cool to have them all together. Even though it's been like kind of hard filming with so many characters at once, but it's really cool to see on screen and get to see action with all of them.
I would say that one of the things that's most fun about making these movies is that Zach is like the Pied Piper with both the kids and the adults. So he truly, you hear his music coming before Zach makes his way on set. He's got a big speaker. He's playing 1980s classics, and he comes onto set and he brings this energy every single day, every single take. And I think that's kind of my greatest memory of making these movies is it was constant joy. There was never sourness or dourness. It was Zach and 6 kids and 5 other adults dancing around the set in between takes. So that for me is really the joy of it.
I felt so empowered and very energized right now without even a coffee. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you, David. Thank you, Zach. Thank you, Peter. I wish even I could be visiting you guys on set when you're filming, and all the best and good luck. I'm going to pass it back to Guda. Thank you.
Thank you, Rain. Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
感谢各位，感谢导演。Howie, do you have time for one fun question? We've collected several questions from millions of DC fans, especially fans of Shazam in China. And the first question, fan question, is about Shazam. I want to give this question to Zach. So if Shazam, in the second installment of the movie, Shazam could team up with other DC superheroes, who would he choose to team up with?
Oh.
I mean, well, so this could go a lot of different ways, but I think that, look, Superman is kind of like you know, he's like the guy in all of DC, so that'd be cool, right? But then also like Wonder Woman, I'm sure that Shazam would have a crush on Wonder Woman. I think that Shazam and the Flash would totally get along because they're both like young, and you know they would literally just race each other all the time and see who's faster. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you could go. I'd say the Flash. I'm going to say the Flash because I think that youth would be a real fun thing to kind of, you know, float around.
So if you could, maybe we could put Shazam in Justice League, so he can team up with everyone, right?
Say that again. Put Shazam in what?
Justice League.
Oh, yeah, I would love that. That would be great. Can you please tell all of our bosses that I'd like that to happen?
Okay, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for all your time. It's been a delightful and amazing session. Thank you guys all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
好的，感谢各位粉丝观看，请记住，你正在观看的是2021年的 DC 粉丝嘉年华 DC Fandome China。我们还有更多属于中国 DC 粉丝的独家精彩内容，请保持关注哦。